Hi, so today is going to be a little bit heavier than the past subjects, though the past subjects were heavy. I'm going to be talking about the fact that I am afraid for my life and the reasons that I am afraid for my life. Um, so, I've been getting barraged with death threats for the last 2 months, probably more than that, but these are very consistent, sometimes overt, mostly covert death threats. And as I've stated in past videos, I have been the victim of domestic violence for a very long time. The duration of my marriage, which was about 5 years, probably before that, if I'm being honest with you. I have reason to believe that it was going on before that also. Um, but so the thing is, these death threats started after I left the situation, and when I did leave the situation, the person told me that I was going to be stalked, and that he wasn't concerned about me leaving because he was still going to be able to keep tabs on me. This person is terrifying to me on a multitude of levels beyond the abuse. The connectedness that this person has is staggering. It does not appear to be the case on the outside, but that is most definitely the situation. I have tried to leave multiple times in the past, and I was followed by professionals. I have evidence of that. I was followed on the second occasion I tried to leave by somebody who was ex-military with a history of being in a unit that tracked in the Army. Within that time period of me trying to leave, that's when this person ended up moving into the building that I was living in and hiding in because I didn't tell anybody where I was at. The difficult thing about this situation, beyond what I've already said, is there's a lot of lying going on. There's a lot of, it's very confusing. The person doesn't tell me what's really happening, so I just I don't get answers from anybody. I have to make deductions based upon my lived experience, and my lived experience has been that this person is dangerous, that they have threatened my life on multiple occasions, and now that I'm getting these threats from people I don't know, that are more or less stalking me in a group, or proxy stalking me, or whatever you want to say. I was always kind of afraid to get away from this situation for a lot of reasons. For one, I was tracked prior, so that already made it kind of difficult. But for two, I didn't know the result of what might occur if I tried to get away from the situation, with the threats that had been leveled at me. So now I'm in this situation. I suffered from multiple assaults. They were not prosecuted at the time because I was being extremely manipulated, gaslit, and more or less tortured by this individual. And the two assaults that were the most violent were the concussion that I sustained on this side of my head and my temple. It's a long story, but more or less that this person hit me either by fist or with something in their hand and caused severe damage to my brain. When I was 6 months pregnant, this individual also threw something at me and made it so that I couldn't walk for about a month. I've been manipulated to believe that everything is my fault in this situation, not just by him, but by the people that surround him. And it's very confusing because, the morality that I was taught is that men aren't supposed to abuse women. So, I've already gotten flack for making this channel, mostly online, by the same people that are giving me the death threats. It tends to be fairly veiled, so it's not like overt, like, you need to stop making this channel or blah blah blah. But it's covert, so it's harder to to do anything about, and I think it's intentional. I think that it's done intentionally is what I'm trying to say. There's intentionality. So, I'm obviously, I'm sure if anybody is into body language, they can see how nervous I am. I can't go anywhere without hearing this stuff, so it's difficult to be in public at this point. I want to get into the fact that this person is a powerful person in secret, not, and this is the weird part of the story. This person is powerful in secret, and yes, that does go on. Some people do not live in a linear timeline, and they live in duplicity. So, you have people that are operating from a double life that, this was not something that I had experience with when I was young. I didn't know that people did that, and when I met this person, that's all they did. So it was very confusing to me from the get-go, and it's just the evolution of seeing like how much lying there was that was going on. It was actually, it caused this sort of cognitive dissonance because I'd never seen anything like that in my life. I'd never conducted or had those sort of things conducted around me. So it took a while for me to really understand that this is something that people do in their life. So as time went on, I sort of began to see like how deep that went, and I would say like it's deep enough that I can't really even detail what I know about it. All I can say is this person has a lot of money and they're very powerful, and they do not appear that way in the identity that I met them in, for lack of a better way of phrasing that. So this all sounds really crazy to somebody who's been lucky enough not to have to live the way I've lived for such a long time. I understand that. That's why I don't talk about it. Plus it's dangerous for me really to say, even allude to. I've already been getting threats, so but this person is not who they appear to be, and I could never tell you exactly how deep that goes. I don't know if there's even more to that than I understand. I just know what I have experienced, and it's crazy. It's craziness. The sad thing is I went into the situation with pure intentions. I wanted to be with this person. I cared about this person, and they used me in a way that is reprehensible, like beyond what I could even conceive of prior to having met them. There was no way that you could have told me like 15 years ago that I would have been encountering these sort of things with this individual, because I would have had no concept of them. So I keep that kind of close to my frame of mind, that like most people that are going to hear this story have no concept of this. I wouldn't have had any concept of this, so I would have thought that it didn't sound legitimate. Unfortunately, it is legitimate, and this situation is real. So this is what I am dealing with right now. I'm totally isolated. I've been totally isolated. I've been removed from, really and honestly, in my opinion, normal society. I really can't. And that's a whole different discussion. And I'm sure people that have dealt with some of this, I've talked to some, they know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you don't, these things go on. People actually get removed from society in a way that is very covert, Stasi-like, or whatever you want to call it. So this is not fun. It's not fun. It's a very difficult thing. I wake up every day not knowing how I'm supposed to deal with this. I don't know that there is a way to deal with this that is correct. I just feel incredibly targeted, and I don't like know what to do. So I'm making these videos to not only let people know what I've been experiencing, but also to bring awareness to the fact that these things are going on. And like above all that, like the higher question in all of this to me is, as a woman who's been abused, how much of this is people at a higher level, those that are, some are, how many of those people are interested in keeping women beaten down and subjugated? How much of this is and has been something that was coordinated from the beginning to keep a woman down who had a spirit of her own? To me, that's really what this feels like. It feels like subjugation. It feels like slavery. It feels like you can't do anything because you don't have any say in it anymore. You have no rights anymore. So, I think this stuff is probably going on a lot more than people talk about. I think especially to women, probably to minorities also, but definitely to women. So this is something to really bring attention to at this point. Like, this is something to really question what is really going on here. And so I'm gonna end it at that. I'm just letting people know that's what I'm dealing with here every day. I don't know that there is, and I doubt there is, a good outcome for me in this situation. But what I can do is let people know that this is going on. And hopefully I hope there aren't others that are experiencing this. But hopefully if there are others experiencing this, they might be able to have a voice through me speaking. I don't necessarily think that many people will see the video or anything, but even if a few people see it, it's still a voice going through this situation, somebody who's speaking out against it. So I thank you for listening to me. I know this is really long-winded, but this is not this is not an easy subject to approach, and I don't even feel like I really did it complete justice, but I tried. So thank you for listening to me.